Hi there, in this video we are going to talk about how to get access to Google Collab where you can write on the Python code. Then we will take a quick review on the different variables that we can use it when we enter Python code and get to know the list of functions that we will use it in Python code. So 3 elements we will try to get it through this video. The first one is get access to Google Collab, get access to the list of all the built-in functions, and start building our code using strings or alphabet. With this in mind, here I put a presentation that will be uploaded on the course website. And here on the left side, I put the snippets where I'm going to copy to put it on Python code. And both of them will be available on Moodle site. So first of all, I'm going to use this link. And you can put it on any browser from any machine, and it will give you access to Google Collab. If you use Google Collab more than one time, you will be prompted with this screen, which will show you your previous work on Google Collab, because whatever we make on Google Collab is saved on Google Drive, and you can access it from any machine as long as you have access to Google Drive. But here I'm going to cancel, and you will get this screen. I will close off the left side column, the table of contents, and then I will click on this code. So when we click on this code, it will open up the bar for us that we can use it to enter the code. And here I will start using the built-in functions, which we have it in Python. To get access to all the functions that we will use it in this course, you can go to this link, which will be on the presentation. You copy the link, and this will take you straight forward to Python website, and it will give you here a list of all the functions that we are going to use it in this course. Of course, I'm not going to cover all of them in this course because my plan is to show you the basics of coding. Some of these functions might be advanced, so if I get a chance to explain all of them, fine. If not, at least you know how you can get access to them in the future. And the first one I'm going to use it today is this one, print. If you need to know more about print, you can read here the explanation, and it gives you some examples. So with this in mind, let us get to know what are the variables we use it when we, for example, we put print. So if I put here print, and please remember when you enter the built-in function on Python, don't start by the capital letter, but a small letter. So here, for example, I will say print, open a bracket, and then, parentheses, and we say hello world. And then you click run, and it will print out hello world for you. And this is the first code you can have it in your Python code. But here we start talking about the variables. What are the variables we can write it here? As you can see here on the presentation, the variables could be characters, underscore characters, or it could be alphabet, or it could be integers or numbers. But when you enter a variable, make sure it's one word. And I'm going to show you now an example. As you can see it here on the top left side, my first variable is called first name. And then I define the variable Sami. The second variable, last name, and I define this variable, Garas. And then my third variable, full name. And then I say my third variable will be combined of the first 2 variables, and between them, I'm going to put a space. So here you can see a good example of 3 variables. The variables could be case sensitive. So you see first starts by F capital. Name starts by N capital. And when we write the variable, we don't make spaces between the names. So I cannot say first space name, but I say first name as one word. Also, we don't start the variable by putting number 1, 2, 3. No, we start the variable by alphabet. Also, we don't use X and Y as we do it in algebra because it will be more confusing in Python code. And we don't use any of the built-in functions, which are these ones. We cannot start a variable, for example, by ABS, absolute number, because these names are reserved for Python. So you cannot use a variable called input, for example, because it's used by Python. You cannot use a variable called print because it's used by Python. So when we make a variable, we don't use any of the reserved word for Python. And finally, we don't do slashes. So I cannot say first slash name and then the characters. No, we need to put one word. You can put numbers, but we are not encouraged to put numbers at the beginning. So with this in mind, let's start building our codes using different variables. And in this video, I'm going to use strings, which means alphabet, and I will show you the different functions we can use it with strings. So let us go here to the snippets I created, and I'm going to use the first one. Here, as I said, my first variable is Sammy. The second variable, which is last name, Grass. The third variable, full name, which is combined of the two previous variables plus a space in between. And if you put here quotations and then you put a space, this will be understood by Python as a space. And of course, you can put as many spaces as you want, and it should be fine. Now I need to run the code. And here I get it Sammy, which is the first name, space Grass. Now I need to show you more options with print function. So I need to print Sammy, Grass, all of them at lowercase. So what I'm gonna do is I will say print full name dot lowercase and then parentheses. And then here we click run, and then you can see here, Sammy, Grass, all of it is in lowercase. I can change this one, and I put upper instead of lower. And then I run. And then I get all of it as in uppercase, as you can see. Then I can change and I say, I need to know how many times Sammy is repeated in full name variable. So here, instead of upper, I will say count, and then I put Sammy, and then I say run. Here it will tell me that Sammy has been repeated one time in full name variable. Now forget about Sammy. I will say I would like to count how many times letter A has been repeated in full name. So here, count A. If you count, you see Sammy has one A, Grass has two A's, so all in all, we have three. And here it would tell me that we have 3 times A is repeated. Now, I will go for another function and I say full name, but I need to find letter A. So I click run, and here we come to a big point to mention, that we start counting in our language by 1. So we say 1, 2, 3, 4. But when Python starts counting, it starts by 0. So for example, Sammy, Grass, Sammy, S is number 0, A is number 1, M is number 2, Y is number 3, and so on. So we start counting by 0 in Python. So letter A comes as the second letter, which is number 1. And this is the reason you see 1 here. If I say find S, so you see here, S, which is Sammy, comes as number 0 in Python. So this can tell you that Python start counting by S. Then I will say, I need to find where is Grass in the variable here, and here it says 5. Why 5? Because we start counting S0, AMY, 1, 2, 3. The space is number 4, and then Grass starts as number 5. So this can tell you here, even the spaces are counted in Python. I put all these codes on my presentation. You can see them here. And I do it now on Google Collab. So when you go through my presentation, you can copy what I have on the presentation, put it on Google Collab, and you should be able to get the answer. I put it here in yellow boxes. And here I put all of them, full name, lower, upper, count, find, and so on. Now let us go to the next part, which is input, where we input, prompt the user to input something, and then we get the output. So here I put first name input, last name input, full name, and then print full name. So I'm going to cancel this one, and then I will use input. So here, let us see what's going to happen. Here, Python will prompt the user to enter their first name. So for example, I'm going to put Sam. And once you run, you click here. So here, Sammy, and you enter. And then it will ask you for the last name, Garas. Of course, you can put any name. Enter. And then it will give you the answer back, Sammy Garas, you are the best. And here you can see the message we created here and so on. So here it will change from printing to prompting the user to enter some information. And this is what you get it here. And here in my presentation, I am explaining how we make our counting and how Python is using the counting. We start counting by 1, 2, 3, up to 10, and we count the spaces. But in Python, it starts counting by 0, and you can see the end is number 9. Another point you need to remember that in Python, you can end here by 9, or you call it -1. So the first number from left is 0. The last number from right is -1. This is the way they use the counting. So for example, if I say here, I'm going to go back to my snippet. And instead of saying print full name, I will say print length, L-E-N, full name. So len, full name. The length of full name, it says 10. So yes, if we count it is 10, but when we start counting, we count by 0, and the last one is number 9. Okay. Now, we need to know where is S. For example, if I need to find something, we used to say find, but there is another option to use it in find, which is you put brackets and you tell Python which letter are you looking for in this number, and then Python will bring it back. So we say first name Sam, last name Garas, full name, which has the 2 variables plus space. But here, instead of print len, I will say print full name, and then open a bracket, and then I put 0, and then close the bracket, and then put parentheses. What does this function mean? It means print letter 0, which is the first letter in full name, and then you click run. And then it will tell you that the first letter here we have it is S. Now I need to print the last letter, which is in Garas, also S. It happens to be S. So I will say, instead of print name, I say print -1. And then you click run. And then it will tell you S. But there's a huge number between the 2 S's, because the first S, it's number 0. The second S is the last number in Python code. This is in brief, what we discussed today is how to get access to Google Collab, how to get access to the list of all the functions we use it in Python, and how to build simple codes using print function and start to use strings. I hope you find this presentation useful, and I will come back to you in more videos to explain integers, shapes, and so on. Thank you. Bye-bye.